So today we're going to talk about a real giant in the fintech world, a company called Tink. Now, you might not know the name, but trust me, if you've ever connected a budgeting app to your bank, you've almost certainly used their tech. We're going to break down how it all works and exactly why this invisible engine was worth a whopping 1.8 billion euros to a company like Visa. I mean, think about it for a second. Your budgeting app, your investment platform, that service you use to get a quick loan, they all just connect to your bank account with a few clicks. It feels so seamless now, right? Almost like magic. But that magic is actually a very recent and incredibly complex solution to a very old problem. You have to remember, not that long ago, the financial world was basically a bunch of walled gardens. Every single bank had its own system, its own language, and getting different apps to talk to each other, it was a total nightmare for developers. It was slow, it wasn't always secure, and it was just fragmented. So what was the solution? Well, what if you could build a universal adapter for money? That was the big idea behind a whole new wave of companies, and Tink was right at the forefront. They didn't want to build just another app. They wanted to build the one connection that could power all of them. And here it is. This simple logo represents a massive, massive piece of financial infrastructure. Tink's whole strategy was to be the invisible plumbing behind the scenes. And you see that little text there? A Visa solution? That little phrase alone tells you everything you need to know about the scale and importance we're talking about here. So what is Tink, really? It's what's known as an open banking platform. And honestly, the best way to think about it is like a universal travel adapter. You have one plug, that's Tink's technology, and it lets your app connect to thousands of different outlets, or in this case, banks all over Europe. It creates one common language for money. Tink's journey from this small Swedish startup to being a core part of a global payment giant is a real masterclass in how to build a fintech company. And their story really boils down to one huge, critical decision they made early on. So check out this timeline. They started back in 2012 as an app for you and me, a consumer finance app. But around 2015, they had this light bulb moment. They realized the real problem wasn't a lack of apps. It was the lack of a secure, reliable way to connect them all. So they made a massive pivot to become B2B infrastructure, the plumbing. And that one decision put them on a direct path to being acquired by Visa in 2022. And now, mission complete, the co-founders have just left to start what's next. And this number right here, this is the ultimate validation of that pivot. Visa paid 1.8 billion euros. And they weren't paying for a cool logo or a flashy consumer brand. They were paying for the critical, behind-the-scenes infrastructure that makes our modern financial lives work. That price tag tells you just how valuable this universal adapter really is. Okay, so a 1.8 billion euro price tag obviously begs the question, how does this engine actually work? What are all these banks and fintechs getting when they decide to plug into the Tink platform? It's all built around this idea of a single platform. A business uses just one API, which is like a secure digital doorway to plug into Tink's entire system. And through that one doorway, they suddenly get access to data from over 6,000 banks. From there, they can do cool stuff like enable direct bank payments, or even add on powerful risk tools, like instantly verifying your income for a loan. So the value here is just crystal clear. Businesses are essentially outsourcing a ton of complexity. Instead of building and maintaining thousands of separate bank connections and dealing with all the crazy regulations, they just connect to Tink once. And, crucially, Tink doesn't just pass along raw data. It cleans it up, it structures it, and turns all that noise into something genuinely useful. Okay. I know what you're thinking. This all sounds very business to business, very in the weeds. But this invisible infrastructure has a huge direct impact on your financial life every single day. Let's connect the dots. This is where it all comes back to you and me. When a lender uses Tink's income check, that's what lets you get a mortgage approved in minutes instead of waiting weeks for paperwork. See that pay by bank option at checkout? That's Tink's engine working in the background. And you know that awesome little feature where your bank statement shows the actual Starbucks logo instead of some weird cryptic merchant code? Yep, that's Tink's data enrichment. It's the invisible layer making your financial life just better. So how does Tink turn that messy fire hose of transaction data into something so useful and clean? Well, as you can probably guess, this is where the AI comes in. There's a powerful AI engine at the very core, intelligently sorting your spending, identifying your income from raw data, and letting lenders make instant, accurate decisions. The connection gets the data, the AI is what makes that data smart. Ultimately, it all just comes down to this one powerful line from Tink itself. This is their entire promise, in just 7 words. Open banking at scale through one integration. That focus on simplicity is what unlocked so much innovation for everyone else. And all of this brings us to a final, really crucial question. Companies like Tink, now owned by giants like Visa, have built the fundamental infrastructure that connects our financial lives. The convenience is absolutely incredible. But as one single connection becomes the gateway to thousands of banks, it really forces us to ask, who should ultimately control the connection to our money? That's a question that's only going to get more and more important from here on out.